Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Pleasure Pulse. I'm your host, Roma Richardson, and I'm so happy to have you here with me for another Tuesday night. As usual, before we get into the show, I'm going to give you some time to let everybody know that Pleasure Pulse is on. Gather your troops, tell everybody, especially people who are here for Music Fest, talking about Music Fest, getting ready to go to Music Fest, because tonight's conversation is about Music Fest. So I'm going to give you a few minutes or a few seconds, however long the break will be, to gather the troops and then come right back. Welcome back, and you're listening or watching Pleasure Pulse on ZIZ. I'm your host, Roma Richardson, and I'm joined by two guests tonight whom I'll ask to introduce themselves. One is a repeat guest, but yeah. Yes, introduce.
Hello, I'm Charmaine Heiliger.
And I am Troy Watson.
And you're a counselor.
Yes, I'm a school counselor at the Washington Archibald High School.
Okay.
And I'm a child protection officer. Probation and Child Protection Services.
Great. So both of you work in, I think, education, child probation, complementary fields. Okay, and tonight it's an interesting topic and conversation because we are going to be talking about safety and keeping yourself and others safe at Music Fest. So this is Music Fest week, and I always say that, you know, Kittitians and divisions, but Kittitians in particular have 2 times in the year most to look forward to: Music Fest and Carnival. And it's similar vibes that, you know, are created around both. It's like very exciting times. We also welcome the influx of a lot of people, whether they are Kittitians and divisions living abroad or they are people from the region or wider. So we also have not just our own people who will be in fest mode and in the fest vibes, we also have visitors. So I think that adds another layer to this conversation as well. So tonight we'll be talking about keeping yourself and others safe at music festival. And for me, it's interesting because I didn't want to talk about it necessarily from just like a policing perspective, but things that individuals can really do to protect themselves, to look out for people, and to ensure that you go to the Music Fest in one piece and you leave Music Fest in one piece as well. So that's what we're talking about tonight. So in terms of just an intro to this conversation, so both of you go to Music Fest?
I go.
No.
No.
Let me say no.
And you've never been?
I have been, but it was to work at the time.
What's the work?
I'm a part of the St. Kitts Nevis Defense Force, and in the earlier years I was there for security reasons.
Okay, so you can also talk about security. Security like that. Okay, so one goes and one has gone for other, not for entertainment. But maybe we can start with some of the things that you have seen. I know this wasn't the question that I said I would ask, but now that you've given me that information.
Some of the things I've seen?
Yeah, because I was talking to someone about, and the reason that I thought about this topic for tonight, the week of Music Fest, is that I know in past events, and I believe it was maybe the Independence concert, there was an issue with a teenager who was drugged or sexually assaulted. I couldn't remember the details, but I remember it was one of those like public and very popularly attended events. And so even though I don't have, you know, the stats or figures from Music Fest, I imagine that similar things happen. And I was telling both Charmaine and Troy that I started to go to Music Fest. My first Music Fest was, I think, First Form. And this was up... Actually, it was up the path. It was up the path? No, I think it was up Fort Thomas. It was up Fort Thomas.
Was it that long ago?
It was that long ago. I said it was Percy Sledge. It was Percy Sledge, some gospel artists, and Sunday nights had already started to like taper off in terms of attendance and so you really could see through the crowd. It wasn't that many people. My mother was there, and then I remember after that I still was only going to Sunday nights, but I would be allowed to be with like a friend, and then eventually you get to go to the other nights and stuff. But
so you were properly introduced to the music festival.
I feel like I was soft. It was like a soft
No,
launch.
you were properly at your age, round about first form. You're what, 10, 12,
13. 10.
Wonderful. So for you to attend music festival at that age meant that your parents were responsible enough to have you accompanied.
Yes.
You should not be attending as a minor. It is an adult event, and if they want to introduce you to it, then it is okay to have you supervised. So you were properly introduced to the music festival.
Yes. You mean like that? Responsibly introduced.
Yes.
Okay, I thought you meant like I had like a good
No.
introduction, because I'm like,
no, you see,
I mean, it was nice. The show was nice, but like,
you see, okay, so this is an event for not just for the federation but for the region. And as you rightly stated, we have locals and visitors attending this festival. It's about tourism among other factors. It is about entertainment and having a good time. And it's a wonderful thing to do. It's culturally appropriate based on the adult arena. So for you to enter as a teenager and as a minor, the best thing is always for you to go with a responsible adult, a trusted person. Otherwise, your security may be at risk.
Okay, let's start there instead. So I said we're going to start with your experiences as a soldier?
No, well, as a soldier at the time, I'm a different type of soldier. For me, personally, working there was solely duty-bound. I was not there for the entertainment aspect of it. It was just to ensure that patrons and people are safe.
Okay, and you weren't necessarily paying attention to the types of
I'm not, the music
crimes
is there.
or wrongs that were being committed.
No, and I would, and because you're on the move, just trying to ensure that people
like
are in a safe
patrolling
space,
and
thing like that, then it is not necessarily an entertainment factor for me. I just want to know that people are safe.
Okay.
It is just like when you watch sporting events overseas, you realize that the security is always watching the crowd. They're not seeing the play on the field. So that was my job. And that is the job of security personnel. But you do have persons who want to entertain themselves and be a part of the show. In fact, there are some people who will volunteer to work at those events.
So that they could watch this show.
Free ticket.
I mean, I don't see them in the crowd.
But I'm
are they watching or are they watching the crowd?
They're watching the stage.
I'm only here to speak from Troy Watson's perspective and what I did. So
I don't have any problem with that, because I can't say that if I had a role like that, I wasn't gonna look up and like a little dancey there. Yeah.
It does happen.
Yeah. So okay, so let's start there, because I think it's not just with Music Fest. I feel like, Carnival, anytime we have a band on the road, anything that's happening that we think maybe are more like adult type events, there are always children around. Yes. So let's talk about adult responsibility, or parental or guardians' responsibility for young people going to Music Fest. What is there? Are there things you would not recommend? Like, is there an age that you would not recommend go at all?
Under 12.
Under 12.
Under 12, 13, I would not recommend that a child that young attend music festival.
At all, even accompanied?
No, because I'm just thinking, like, if you are a parent, you've gone there to enjoy yourself. Also, you really want every minute this 9-year-old next to you, mommy, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I want this, I want that. You come here to enjoy yourself, so enjoy yourself. Leave the youngin at home.
With whom?
With who? A responsible person.
Oh, so the parents must be irresponsible to leave the children at home.
How is that? No, I think that is responsible, to leave the child with somebody who can watch them.
Oh.
Well,
people also have started different services, babysitting services around this time too. So there's
wonderful. But you see, I'm talking about the security issue and understanding. One of the things I want parents to understand is that the moment you're a parent, It is a full-time
Yes.
job. You don't abdicate or pass
So
on.
parent does not deserve a break to go and enjoy themselves at a music festival, even though they have
A break?
Yes, so they can go and enjoy themselves as a
Maybe,
parent.
maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. And I don't want to make it a gender issue, but maybe it's me. My issue is, if I take, a simple thing, if I take my children to the beach, I am there as the lifeguard and the parent.
Of course.
I cannot swim. So what gives you the right then, as a parent, to decide that you're going to go to a music festival? If at the sea they can drown, what can happen at music festival? Just think about it.
I get you.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just saying,
I hear
your
that.
duty is to be a responsible parent.
Right.
And then, yes, you can get supervision from a trusted friend or family member or relative and things like that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it leaves the child in a safe or
That's
better
true. Right.
environment.
Yes.
So I'm just saying we need to take all these things into
That's a
consideration.
good point.
Absolutely.
Now, in keeping with our discussion about security and keeping yourself and others safe, my first thing is that we need to pay attention to self in terms of, is this music festival something that is a want, a desire, or a need? Why am I going to music festival? What is the real objective behind it? I'm going to be entertained, I'm going for fun. The reasoning behind it should help how we move or attend the music festival. I am for people enjoying themselves. And I will say, even to members of my church, it is okay to attend these cultural or traditional events. That's wonderful. But at the same time, you need to put in place measures to ensure that you are safe and your family members are safe and your property is safe. Now, I'm not here as the expert or the specialist as it relates to those sort of things.
You come as the sold.
No, but you don't lose that side of you because you need to pay attention to these sort of things. You need to ensure that your loved ones are safe, so you put in place all the measures, as I said, to ensure they're there. So you should not be at the event worried about the safety of your home, your children, or other loved ones, because it may be an elderly person or someone you're giving care to. We should ensure those things are in place before you just cart yourself off to the music festival. There are other things I could say, but we'll say that in the discussion going forward.
And I think this connects to, whether or not you bring or, have or accompany a child there or are accompanied by a child. I don't know. Because sometimes it is that parents go to the music fest because their children have an interest in it. And they're going there to supervise, chaperone, be supportive, whatever it is. But I think it's especially important to ensure that if you are finding a babysitting service for your child, leaving your child with a friend or the child's other parent, other parent is, I think, maybe the ideal scenario, assuming that it's a healthy, safe home. But like those are things that you definitely need to consider, because I know, at least for my mother, it was like, and that's why she enjoyed her time before she had children, so that when she did have children, you don't feel like you're missing out forever. And I understand the point about parents needing a break, for sure, but you can't leave your 7-year-old child home alone so that you can have a break, right? So certain things, because you're putting that child now in an unsafe position. And we could talk about, I like what you said about the reasons that you're going to Music Fest, because I think some people go to Music Fest to be predators. And that's why I wanted to talk about, the young people, especially at Music Fest, because there is, I think, a question of physical or like environmental safety. Because if you're a short, small person, a child, in a crowd as packed as Music Fest's crowd can get, anything can happen in there. But if we're talking about things like sexual crimes, sexual violence, abuse, predatory behavior, like... I'm sure way more of that happens than we are aware.
Okay. Well, before we even plunge into the deep end of it, one of the things we need to understand is that our young people, especially of today, are more musically aware. Mark, the music is not the best of music, but at the same time, at least I believe music from my time is way better than for now. But they are very much attuned with what is happening, the entertainers, the songs, they know them, they can sing along with them. In fact, chances are they produce them. My issue, though, is that the parents sometimes can, in as much as I believe in the supervision of children, can cramp the style and the whole atmosphere of the music festival. Because a natural part of the music festival is not just the entertainment, but being in the company of friends or your peers and
The
things like
social
that.
aspect.
So the social aspect. So I believe that parents should set parameters for being at the music festival, whether accompanied or unaccompanied, and give timeline to particular things for particular ages. The older they become, then you let go the reins and allow them a little more freedom, but you need to teach them to be very much aware. They need to be careful of their friends and company, and it is never advised for a young person to be sent to music festival alone. So I would want to know, if I'm going to send my children, who are the persons attending, who's going to be the chaperone, and things of the sort, and what is the timeline given. Because you will have the situation where you say to the child, well, you know, you can stay out till like midnight or 1 o'clock. And chances are that is when the whole festival really
coming on.
there you go.
Yeah.
And then they want to hear a particular artist, and that artist is the showstopper. So you know it's going to create particular conflict. I think at some point before the show you were talking about checking-ins, calling, giving updates and things like that.
Like if you are accompanying your child to music festival, especially depending, and I'm thinking the 14, 15-year-old, 16-year-old child.
16-year-old who?
Child.
Okay.
Yeah, a child still at 16?
Yeah, you'll always be a child. I mean, my son is 22 and he's still my child. But then, by definition, are we saying that the 16-year-old is a child minor, or are we recognizing?
Well, you're right, because I'm trying to think at 16.
Okay, let's say young person.
Person, yes.
There
But
you
I
go.
was not checking in at 16.
Well,
Because I grow now. I finished in high school.
Chances are you weren't checking in before that. But I'm just saying.
Wow. Remember, people are listening. We need to give them.
Okay.
We're giving them advice.
But you see, in my time though, I'm thinking when I was going to I think my first time going to Music Fest, I was not privileged to get first farm, so you were lucky.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, but I think maybe I went in fourth farm, and I'm pretty sure my mom went. I was not around her, but I know I was more with my older sister, and I think maybe that gave my mom some sense of comfort.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a cell phone to check in or anything, so it was just when music festival finish, this is where you meet us.
Yeah.
But again, I was a trusted child.
No.
Yes.
You weren't?
Yes.
No, you weren't. Your older sister was a trusted one who had
Okay, I think, yes, I agree.
No, my parents had no issues.
Anybody who knows you wouldn't trust you. I'm kidding.
I hear that. And I don't really see too many like young people with their older siblings out anymore.
No, because
I feel like I see a lot of
we were
group
close
of
in
like
age.
friends, like classmates and so together. I don't really see like
No.
a younger child with an
You're
older.
Right. No, I remember for two times. It was so far back. It's true. So it was like you come with her, but then I said, them is your friends and them is my friends.
Yeah.
We gonna link
Because
up
you're a
Yeah.
because
I'll cramp
when
my
you're
style.
the
Yeah.
younger person is going to become a burden. At some point, the older person will be a burden because you want the reins let go so you can enjoy your time with your friends.
Yeah.
The song being played is not so much important. It is just the atmosphere and being amongst your kind, entertaining yourself with jokes. Look at the stupidity here where they say things like that. So, but the essence of our discussion is that we need to have people aware of their surroundings.
Yeah.
We should not have our young people ditching off into corners, into dark areas for their own security. So that is why I'm saying the parents need to become more involved, whether they're present or away from the event, so that the children know, or the young persons know, we're saying particular things for your own good, your own safety, your own protection, because a lot of crimes happen in the Federation, even in the music festival atmosphere.
Even though there are police
Yes,
around.
they are underreported, yes, but it happens.
Yes. And I think, what you said about having those conversations, honest conversations and open conversations about safety.
Yeah, I don't think parents have those type of conversations enough. To have those real hard, it might be hard for you, but have them. Talk about things that can happen to you if you're not being vigilant and aware of what you're doing. Drinking. I mean,
Well,
you should not be drinking if you're a child legally at music festival. But we know it happens.
Take out the legal out of it. Legally is always implied. You should not be drinking. You should not be drinking. In fact, you should not be drinking. You should not be drinking until the age of
18.
21.
What?
21.
The legal age is 18.
Who told you that? Please do your research.
The legal age is not 18
Ask Google. She knows everybody's
For
business.
America.
For what America? The
It's
law
21.
in America is 21.
Yeah, but we St. Kitts. What is the law here in St. Kitts?
I think we need to have a discussion about the law. So
I think so because there
21.
In St. Kitts?
Yes, ma'am.
You
see, we need a police
that.
officer on the program.
we need to.
We
And
need
I
to have a
think
police
there are
officer.
lots of ages in our law that don't align. So there's an age to be able to consent to have sex, but there's another age to be able to access public health, sexual and reproductive health services. There's another age when it comes to drinking. There's another age when it comes to driving. So a lot of our ages don't align. But I know for sure under 18, let's just say that.
No, 18 is only the age of majority, but it is not the age for drinking
But
alcohol.
I'm just saying, I'm not sure, but I'm saying at least 18 because 18 you're at least in CFBC, so you're out of high school, you're in post-secondary school, you're probably driving, which is another layer of risk if you're drinking, but you have more freedom than someone who is still in high school, 17, 16 and lower.
And there is another thing now while we're on this thing about the consumption, one of the things I have here is that for our own security we need to deal with the excesses, right? And Charmaine said that we should talk about the use of alcohol or the use of substances. I do believe that as it relates to alcohol, it has been a tradition where we allow our children to be exposed to it earlier than what the law stipulates.
Yes.
Notwithstanding, or while that is the case, I would say to parents, if you're going to allow your children to drink, start in a safe space.
Yes,
the introduction to alcohol should not be outside the house.
I agree.
So for me, I introduce my children to it at home, not on the road.
What was the environment? What was the vibe? And also, I feel like it's interesting that we're having this conversation and that we said, that parents don't always feel, and I think you were saying this from an expert position and seat as someone who engages with young people every day. Like, from your conversations with them, whether or not their parents talk to them. But I think one thing is, we are having this conversation today, and we've been having similar conversations, over past weeks and months and so on. But this conversation today isn't necessarily sufficient to send your child out into the world for Music Fest on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So that's just like a caveat, a warning, or whatever to folks listening that, like, today will not give you all of the prep and make up for the years of, like, not having that open line of communication, that introduction, that's safe and so it's not like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to introduce you to alcohol so that you can responsibly drink on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's not what we're saying, right? So we're saying that this is like a conversation that can maybe prep you for Christmas, or it can prep you for next year's Music Fest.
Okay, so one of the things I want
but
to
not for
emphasize,
day after tomorrow.
But we're going to reiterate here is that we do not want it to be said that Roma, Charmaine, and Troy came on national radio
and said that and alcohol at home.
There you go. Right, there you go. But what we're talking about, like, as it relates to protecting yourself and others, I have here a list of stuff that I had that I want to present to you and to our listeners that we should avoid excesses. And the first excess we need to do is overspending. People spend a lot of money in anticipation or preparation for music festival. The clothes, the hairstyle, the shoes, the thing. No, I'm just saying.
We support capitalism.
Yes, but at the same time, I'm trying to protect people from themselves as well.
Yes.
Because when you spend and overspend in anticipation for this, it means you might not be paying particular bills. It is more important.
Why?
I don't know, it's a feel-good thing.
And remember, this show is called.
Yes,
this show is called Pleasure Pulse.
Yes,
right?
You can have pleasure, but you can pay your bills and still have pleasure.
Yes, I think the question that you talked about, or the thing that you raised earlier about the reason behind certain things,
right?
Like, and one thing that we have to talk about here is that instant gratification versus like delayed and sustained pleasure. So all of these things connect to pleasure and enjoyment.
The prefix is over. The overspending. I'm not saying you shouldn't spend, you shouldn't enjoy yourself. I'm just saying do not do it in such a state that it's
But you don't think that is subjective?
Subjective to who?
If I might spend in preparation for music festival, hair, nails, clothes, I might spend.
Okay. I don't know anything about all of that, but
say $2,000.
Wow,
right?
That's more than
I want extra nice.
So here is where.
So I spent $2,000, but that might be nothing for me because maybe my salary is 10. So me spending $2,000 over 10, that's nothing for me. Somebody else whose salary is 3, minimum wage or something like that, you should not be spending that.
Yeah, so, but you want to fit in. That is why
but you might watch my $2,000 and say that's overspending.
You're excessive because to me, Troy Watson, I am saying you're going to spend $2,000 in preparation for music festival and you have not purchased your tickets as yet. And then, wait. And then you're gonna get new hairstyle.
No, maybe I get free tickets.
I was gonna say maybe they don't have to purchase tickets because somebody was also before the show I was talking to someone about. I mean, we have what we call boopsing. Right?
I don't know what you're talking about. I have no clue what you're talking about.
Okay.
I've never boopsed anybody, so I don't know.
Troy has lived here for how many years?
Boop start in Jamaica. Boop start in Jamaica. And I'm Jamaican, so I know what it is, but I'm just saying I have never boopsed anybody. I never said that. I'm just saying we should not overspend.
Yeah, but we're saying that there are some ways that people save funds, and we also I brought that in because this is a show about sexual education and sexual health.
I would like to know that people are having fun, but at the same time
safe sex for the tickets is all I wanted to say.
I want people to be able to pay their bills or pay the bills before they spend.
This is not what you call power talk. We're not talking about.
Okay, so I'm the wrong guest for your program.
We're not talking about people saving money.
No, I'm not saying.
Sorry, we could talk about excesses when it comes to alcohol use,
substance use,
in preparation for Music Fest at Music Fest, and how that might affect people's sexual and other behaviors, as well as keeping themselves and others safe.
What about not overdoing so that show self? Like, it is not just about the music festival, about getting to the music festival. People in their hype, and I don't want people to not have their vibes. But no. What I'm saying is that you can still enjoy the thing without driving like an idiot on the road. So I'm saying,
got you.
Avoid the excess.
I thought you meant don't rent a limo.
No, I never said.
That's what you meant.
No, I'm talking about the showboating and trying to show self and get yourself in trouble. I am talking about people being responsible and having fun.
Yes.
Now you talk about the sexual part. That's what you want to promote. Go ahead.
We all gonna talk. About
no, not we all. You.
We are gonna talk about it on the show. I hear that completely, and that's definitely a part of the conversation. So, what else? Okay, so let's, because I think we need to wrap maybe properly the conversation about children who are accompanied or not by parents. We talked about trust and how much trust should or should not exist, ages that we think maybe should not be going, and I feel like it is completely within their parents' right if they promise their 10-year-old child they could go, and then after the show they said, actually I changed my mind completely. I support that entirely.
You're a parent.
Yeah, I also support if you want to go to Music Fest. Especially, I feel like the younger child, the more attention you have to pay to them, because I feel like I sometimes see children who are 9 running around Music Fest clearly unaccompanied, and I think because we live in a relatively safe place in that like random crimes and so people not but I don't think that we should take for granted the possibility that it can happen, because in a place like Music Fest with thousands of people, if you turn and you miss your child, you might never see, that person again for the night. So I would just really encourage parents, and young people, especially young girls, because we talked about the fact that we believe a lot of people go to Music Fest for predatory behavior. A lot of times when young people get alcohol at Music Fest, it's because older people buy alcohol for them. People put things in people's drinks. So if we're also not talking to our children about safe ways to drink as young as they are, because recognizing that as a possibility, right? At least saying, I know we've talked about not drinking and you are not allowed to drink.
No, we never said that. We said avoid excesses.
We're talking about people,
the minors.
Yes, who are not of age to drink. So parents, the same way that people under 16 are not legally able to consent to sex, but that will not prevent you from having honest conversations with them about sex. So same way I think you should have honest conversations about drinking and safety when it comes to alcohol use, how to drink, how to alternate your alcohol with water, ensuring that if somebody buying you a drink, you're there when they buy the drink and open drink,
you can collect the drink yourself.
You can collect the drink.
Do not leave your drink unattended.
Do not leave your drink unattended.
And if you left it unattended, I would not.
Don't drink.
Do not go back to it.
Yes. So
do not go back to it.
Let's give some more.
Stick with the same type of drink.
Tips.
One of the things I want to plug in right here is that spiking somebody's drink or putting a substance in somebody's drink is not just about alcohol, because you could buy a soft drink and it could be done.
Right.
I'm just asking that people act responsibly. The issue of trust that we are trying to promote or we're talking about is something that you develop over time. We would not want for parents to be rewarding bad behavior. And one of the things from my department that I know happens is that their parents who do not live in the same household and they're at odds with each other, and someone promised the child to go to music festival unbeknownst to the other parent, and that can create an issue. Parents should have discussion for the protection of the children. And I know that children are master manipulators as well, where they can put parents and set them at odds with each other about these very events. So we want to encourage parents to have dialogue with each other and the children about it, and develop that trust over time, and not use music festival or any major festive event to be something as a win to score points with the child
over the other parent.
That's a good
one. So
anything else you'd add for keeping young people safe? Whether it is guidance that parents should give to their children, or if any young people are listening, things that they can receive themselves.
Well, I guess majority of persons that you do see in terms of being children are teenagers. So you don't see a lot of the 9-10-year-olds.
Yes.
So the 14-15, you're going to be with your friends. Just like Troy was saying, watch your cups, get your own things if needs be. Always stick together. Please don't. I want to use the bathroom, and all of us going to use the bathroom. Please stick together. Yes. So
whether you're male or female, because I don't want it to be a situation where we think it's just for the female.
Yes.
Male or female. In fact, as adults, not just for the children, as adults, some adults need to be supervised. So I am being honest. There's some people.
It's true.
After the consumption of alcohol, there are a lot of adults who will go on the deep end, and they will do things that is totally outside of the character. So they need supervision as well. I'm just saying, stick with your peers, trusted peers.
Sober friend, if anything.
There you go.
If you're drinking, because I feel like drinking at the festival, and maybe I don't know if it's because in those early years I a child, essentially, like not of drinking age, so I wasn't really paying attention to how many people were drinking alcohol. But I feel like alcohol is something that has proliferated at...
It was always there.
I mean, I know it was always there, but I feel like...
It's worse.
Yeah, I feel like we used to go music fest and everybody was comfortable to drink a thing, P&J or whatever, but like, it's actually a place where you drink and get drunk. Like music fest wasn't really a get drunk.
No, that is because you weren't seeing the bottles. The bottles from Outer Nevis. That's why. So you were not seeing that aspect of it, but the Hammond was always there.
Okay.
It was always there.
But okay, even as a soldier when you were going, I'm looking at the times when I was going to music festival, like in the very beginning, and to now, I find there are much more younger people there now than when I was going.
Because
those younger people are drinking.
And
and when I was in college and so we weren't drinking.
No, okay, one of the things I don't want to be is to make this drinking thing about the music festival.
Oh no, that's not what we're doing.
Understand. No.
Yeah.
Culturally, we give alcohol to our young people.
Yes, we did.
We're drinking, and they're there. Take a drink. So it's not like they're not introduced to it. I'm just saying, I believe you should introduce it at home in small quantities so they can adjust to it.
Yeah.
Now, here is something that is just as dangerous: the smoking. We've become a more liberal society, and persons are permitted to use marijuana amongst other substances.
We had a smoker section. I don't know if we have one this year.
But there can never be a smoker section because it is not a closed event in a confined space. The smoke will go everywhere. So there's no real smoker section.
Sure.
Every section is smoker section.
Technically, but I feel like
it's not like, you know, before I'm standing up all the way over here and you just literally next to me smoking your marijuana next to me. It wasn't like that.
But I can get my sample by going downwind.
Yeah, but then
so that
you
I
have to
ensure,
go over there to smoke it.
Yeah, but you have to go over there to smoke. But I want some of it. I can just strategically place myself to get my whiff, and that's fine.
Okay, and I feel like, you know, just like there is like responsible drinking, there's also responsible smoking, and I think that the people who are like true smokers, because you know they're like hierarchies of smokers. True smokers know not to be like in the middle of a crowd smoking. True smokers like respect the space
responsible smokers
around. True. We're talking about cigarettes, talking about weed. So true weed smokers who are about the meditative aspects, or about like being in the zone and stuff, but responsible in terms of, you know, because there are certain behaviors that might happen after smoking or after being around people who are smoking as well, that people still have to be mindful of, just as with alcohol. So same thing with smoking, like you don't necessarily want to be just accepting joints from random people because you don't know what is in those joints. You want to know your limits when it comes to smoking. If you're going to music fest,
and this
that's
is totally
not necessarily
this is not for children.
Yes,
for adults. Yeah.
That's not necessarily the best place to try out smoking for the first time. You also want to be like kind of, you know, you grow into it, so you know proper dosage, you understand, you know, your tolerance levels and things like that. Because we also, you know, like I said, you have to get there safely, and we want you to get home safely, and we also want you to, because I do want to talk about things like casual sex, because I imagine that happens at music
just before
fest.
you run to that, one of the things I want for us to do is understand that people can be under the influence of just the music. And while you're there having your vibe and your moment, something can be slipped to you. And you're already in the mood and just take a drink or take a spliff, and you take a smoke or a drink
more than
because it was handed to you and you're already in that vibe. There's also the issue of avoiding excess by moving further away from the hi-fi in terms of the speaker boxes. You have some people who enjoy just being right on them, and you have the thud and thumping because that's how they get into their trance and whatever else. And I'm saying, for music festival, we advise people to step away from the box. You can still hear it. You don't need to feel the heavy vibration or the loud noise, because we're becoming a deaf generation, and it is not wise to be standing right there up under the speaker box while these things are going on. So I'm just saying, let us be responsible. Protect yourself, because the medical bill afterwards, the medical bill afterwards might become an issue. Okay, so now you're excited, Paul.
Okay, we talked about the buddy system earlier as an important way to keep each other and ourselves safe. And the buddy system is essentially like making sure you're with at least one other person and not in a like Abba in a better than Saba kind of way, but like two drunk people holding each other up, but like, you know, you have a designated person, and if your crew is the same and you're going multiple nights on Music Fest, you can rotate. Of course, you know, in your crew there's some people who will say, yeah, I will be the sober one, and you know they don't have that capacity. So work with that. Work with that in mind. Like, be honest about who you are with and ensure that you stay with those people. So maybe it was, I decided, okay, tonight is my night to get drunk. And then I realized, wait, you getting drunk too? I might have to stop myself so that all of us in this space are not drunk. Because a lot can happen at Music Fest. And like I said, you know, there are lots of people coming here for all sorts of different reasons, and sometimes, you know, things aren't intentional, but they just happen, and we want to avoid things just happening, right? And for people to be intentional as possible. But along with the buddy system, and this is just like us giving you like practical and tangible things that you can do to keep yourself and others safe, there's bystander intervention. So let's talk about bystander intervention, which is a tricky situation.
It is.
Which comes with its own questions about that person's safety.
Yes.
But yeah, let's talk about bystander intervention.
I think, if I am seeing another, you don't even have to be a young person, just another human being. You look like you're intoxicated. Something just ain't seem right about you. I should help you. I should. The only problem is, in me trying to help you, you might start to cuss me off and effing this and then somebody else come and you know, it becomes a whole big issue. So I think people often are very reluctant sometimes because I don't want to get involved. Because say it's a relationship issue, a couple having maybe a little issue there, and you want to intervene, then you get cussed out and you might get the blues and all of that. So you should just, you know, from my own conscience, I would intervene if I see something that just does not look right to me. But there is also that other aspect. If I do, then what else can happen to me? I might get myself involved in something I did not want to get involved in, just by trying to be the good Samaritan.
Well, the good Samaritan should call the authority figure.
I was going to say,
but in the moment,
in the moment,
especially if it's in the middle of the crowd.
Yes, because if I see you, God forbid, Roma look really intoxicated, and this person, they say a man is grabbing her, and that ain't look right. And I trying to grab Roma. I ain't got time to go run, go call the police. I trying to grab Roma right there, and then to save her.
And these are the things that we need to show the light on. We can always take out our phones and make a recording, not for the entertainment aspect, but to keep record of what is happening. It also introduces a situation where people tend to forget about processes and procedure as it relates to helping others. Sometimes you can't help people without their consent. So you're saying, hey, you go over and ask, are you okay? What's going on? Things like that. Don't just jump in. Ask a question, because things may appear to be one way where it's something else. And while we're talking about appearance, I seem to recall people going and putting themselves in a situation where they want to dance with somebody and the person is not who they thought the person is supposed to be, or the sex or gender that the person appears to be. So for music festival, be very sure. Don't just go rub up on people. Be sure about who you're approaching and be responsible.
I like that you raised that, because I saw a video on Twitter, and it wasn't about like the question about gender and things like that, but it was a woman showing like a man the responsible way to ask to dance, and it wasn't waltzing, it was walk it up. I think it was like a Bayesian or Trinidadian or something video, and it definitely applies here, because it's irresponsible, it's non-consensual for you to just go up to anybody and dance behind them, especially if you don't know the person. But even if you do know, even if you do know the person, like that's just not how we do things. So if you want to dance with somebody, you at first have to at least make eye contact. Like the person has to see that you're there, and the person will nod or whatever it is. Like I think sometimes people think consent has to be like boring, you know, necessarily drawn out thing, but sometimes it is we agree, like I can give you a nod. If I look back and I start to dance, that is also a way that you might give consent.
So so what you're saying, Roma, is that I know you. I've been on your show, we're kind of familiar with each other, but we don't have that sort of thing. But you're there walking up and it look good and I want to join in. As long as you look back at me, I can come.
No, men say
I'm just checking.
No, it wasn't because what I said, I said a nod. It could be verbal, it could be non-verbal. I think I prefer verbal because verbal kind of removes any doubt from the situation.
Right.
But
so
I at least said...
I'm worried about the nod because the nod could be you responding to the beat. That's why I'm saying.
No, we not though.
Yeah, I
don't know the nod. I'm just saying.
I think you people do know the nod, and I think in the video, I don't think the person actually spoke to them. I think it was like... I think she started dancing, which was like, okay, I'm okay.
She was backing up on it.
I'm okay with this.
Okay.
But they made that eye contact, and that, you know, the question was asked, you know, like, is it okay? Or you might be like, can I dance? And you might be like, come, you know,
So let's just say.
Or you might use, like I said, it's best to use your words. But pay attention to, and if you're not sure, you can ask. Like the guy can come up in the ear and say, "We can dance," and then the person will say yes or no, and so, you have it.
So what I'm getting here is that you need the verbal consent, but there are other ways of expressing or showing consent without articulating it.
Are we talking about? In this particular case of this dance in Music Fest.
Right, but let's just say in Music Fest now, you back up on me to start the dance, to initiate the dance. At what point are you permitted to break the dance? Because let's just say you're dancing with me and it's not just the music jumping.
Anybody anybody at any time is able to stop dancing.
No, I'm saying it for the listeners.
Anybody, and
because I want the listeners to be aware.
If I want to dance with you for 20 seconds, the whole song, 2 songs, at
is
any
up to
point, I can stop.
And if the guy approached and was granted consent to dance, and he ain't into it anymore, he can also stop.
Yeah, but he gonna look like a punk.
No, sometimes, you know, you're dancing and it's like, okay, sometimes the song changes abruptly. Sometimes you just ain't feeling it. Anybody at any time. Usually I feel like women will stop dancing or they will take a step forward. And that means this dance is done and you should respect that.
So for the safety of persons in the dance, male or female, more so the females, they need to have their what do you call it? This kind of cue to their friends to let them know, hey, listen, I might be in trouble over here, you know.
Yes.
Because you might start to dance with somebody, the person is getting overly excited.
Yeah.
He is
they want to dance with you longer than you want to. Or they keep coming back.
And holding on. So the dance now becomes more like a real walk up on and trying to get.
And in the video
going.
it was also like respectful ways to dance after the person has granted you consent. So like dancing does not mean permission to caress. It does not mean permission to hold me around my waist, to touch this and touch that. Like that's not. Keep your hands to the side.
But that's a part of the dance because
that is not a part
you
of the
initiated
dance.
the dance.
No.
I'm trying to help our listeners, you know. I'm saying
you're walking us through. You're walking us through what can happen.
Okay. I didn't
not
ask
that
you to
he
dance.
believes this.
No, I don't believe this, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You invited me to dance. I'm there chilling by myself as a man, and you decide to back up on me and say, well, let's dance. I become excited, and this thing jumping up. No, you have a responsibility to protect me because I am jumping up in my pants and getting excited. And I don't think it's fair for you to just walk off and expose me all there in public.
So I'm supposed to stand. What am I supposed to do?
No. I'm saying it for the sake of the listeners. I'm not saying what you're supposed to.
Okay.
I'm just saying, for that reason, I'm saying, our women in particular need to have their cues, silent codes, or whatever, to let their friends know that they're in a situation that is potentially dangerous and could lead to something that is negative. So come and join in and rescue me from this situation. It is about keeping people safe and ensure that we don't have a predatory situation where there's a stalker because hey, the dance good enough and you have a real vibe. I want some of you. So I'm just saying.
Yes, I appreciate your bringing that up, and it connects back to what we were talking about: body system, not straying too far from your group, not just only if you have been drinking, even if you're sober, you don't want to stray too far from your people, because one thing we were talking about earlier is we didn't really have cell phones like that, you know, when we were younger. But now, even though you have cell phones, because everybody is on their cell phones at Music Fest, sometimes it's so hard to get a call out or message sent and stuff, right? So in terms of like your physical proximity to people, you want to be as close to your people as possible, because you can't rely on phones to work. So you want to ensure that, you know, people can see people. So maybe you're like 5 feet away or whatever, but my eye is on you, and we're talking about adults with other adults.
And even if, say, you're feeling the vibe of the person that you dance with, and they say, you know, let's go get a drink, please go tell your friends. Do not just walk off with that person, even though you're liking the person too. And I mean, friends, at least follow behind or something. And we have to protect one another.
I personally believe that it is about time people become more responsible. Carry your date. Carry your own dance partner.
Have a dance partner that you agree to meet with them.
There you go. Instead of having the situation where you dance with too much people and then you get lost in the crowd and anything like that. Another way of being secure is that chances are it might be best for us to walk with them little small chargers for our phone, because after using the phone for a long using the phone for a long period, you need to keep your phone charged so people can reach you and things like that. Ever so often check your phone. Keep it on loud and vibrate.
And ensure, if you don't usually have data, consider putting on some
even for the 3 days.
Data for the 3 days so that you can keep in touch with your people. And we never took a break, and we have 6 minutes. We have 6 minutes left. We didn't really talk about casual sex, but I am
I don't know what that is, so please, by all means.
I'm at least glad that we got into like the body system, bystander intervention. We talked about drug use and so casual sex. I feel like, you know, and sometimes it happens with the person who you dance with. And of course, in this conversation, we're not talking and saying that absolutely don't go to Music Fest and dance with anybody, make a connection with people, because I'm sure people have found their soulmates, their partners at Music Fest, a random person. So if you want to be open to that, like, that's absolutely up to you. What we're talking about is that no one is entitled to anybody at Music Fest. You are not entitled to go dance with anybody, any gender.
Entitled to go home with anybody.
You're not entitled to go home with anybody. If you buy a woman 20 drinks for the night, that does not mean that she has to go home with you at the end of the night. So if you're not prepared...
I have a question. So is the woman entitled to 20 drinks?
I don't...
No, because there's a tit for tat barter system, so I'm just asking.
I think that's a choice that he made.
I think that was... I was going to say, if you're not willing to be turned down at the end of the night, because that's a very real possibility.
What do you mean by the man being turned down? So men can't turn down women?
Oh, sorry. No, I didn't even say the man. I said if you are not prepared to be turned on at the end of the night, whoever it is.
Don't initiate anything.
Don't, but save your money. Buy yourself drinks or whatever, because buying a drink for someone does not entitle you to a relationship with that person, sex with that person at the end of the night, or any of that. So if, you know, that's what you assuming will happen, unassume it.
But that's what a lot of people are going for.
I realize that.
You watch what is going to happen between January and March next year.
And I'm completely okay if that little alcohol that lasts for 9 months is consensual.
No, but here's my thing. My
Yeah.
thing. Even if they're going to go to music festival and have a good time and become sexually involved, please, for heaven's sake, avoid the substances and sex. Because there are some issues that our children will suffer.
Avoid having sex with the substances.
There
what
you
mean.
go.
Okay, got you.
So I don't understand it, but it's pleasure.
Yeah.
And it's pleasurable. I have pleasure a different way.
Okay.
And there are a lot of things that are pleasing and pleasant without all of that. I'm not trying to be no killjoy. I am just saying.
Yes.
There are some things you should not mix. It's just like you should not really mix your alcohol too much.
Yeah.
Some things should not mix, because if you're smoking,
You're drinking. You're mixing your drinks.
mixing all sort of drink, and then now you go have sex and somebody's pregnant as a result, the child going to pay for that too. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So it comes back to like knowing what you.
I'm not
going
against
to-
people having sex and having fun, you know?
Yeah.
That's one of the best things ever created.
It comes back to knowing what you're going to music festival, knowing what you're open
There
to
you
at
go.
music fest. When you go to music fest, people are always there handing out condoms. So I can say that for sure. So if you realize, by the way, the vibe is going with a person, maybe both of you consent to become each other's dance partners for the night or whatever it is, and you realize it might be going there, them condoms that they'll be giving out or that they were giving out, if you don't have your own, collect.
What about
right?
saying no
and
to the condom?
use.
You can say no to the condom. You see what I
Continue.
okay,
So let me, because I know you.
Wait.
Continue.
Okay, here's my thing. I'm being facetious, right?
Yes.
You can say no because you don't have to have sex there. You can take.
I wasn't talking about having sex there.
No, wait. But it happens there.
Okay, but I was not
Okay.
talking about, because remember,
Okay, I'm
like,
trying to say-
indecency, public indecency is still
Yes,
a
but
thing.
when I said there, I'm not talking about just on the compound. I'm talking about that evening. You can lead to a discussion and make plans for
Yes.
another time.
Yes.
If that is the direction you want to go. I'm also saying that you don't have to. You could also take it to the point where if you're going to do that, you check the condom yourself, because people will puncture these things.
Yeah.
And you may think you're safe, but you're not.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, I usually say to women, it's on you, because women are the real custodians over the sex. If you don't want it, can't happen. And if there's going to be contraceptive use and things like that, there are far more contraceptives for women than for men. And the woman should take responsibility and not just think that a condom is enough. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. I hear you. All right. So, 1 minute. I will just wrap by saying,
Yes.
I think casual sex is a thing that happens, and if it happens, I would encourage folks to use safer sex methods, which is why I said to, like, if you realize that it's going there, it probably means that you should also pause or stop drinking, because you want to ensure that you
You're
are
making
in
a conscious
a conscious, informed decision, a decision that you would want to make, and you would be comfortable with. You want to ensure that, you're in a healthy, clear enough
Yeah, I'm
state.
in the dad, and I was a pretty in the leg.
state.
Is this about beauty?
I wasn't talking about beauty.
Oh, I'm just asking.
Okay. And remember we talked about the body system. We talked about bystander intervention and finding help if you feel like the situation is beyond you. If you can, using your phone to record and, maybe calling in support if you can as well. Do you have any final words to wrap up the show that we got no break?
Well, I would say to the general public, go out, have a wonderful time, drink responsibly, act responsibly, and everything will be fine.
Yes. That.
But I want to hear from you.
Well, I was just thinking too, in terms of with the kids, just something I forgot to mention, because we talked about not having service all the times. Most kids have phones these days. So if I would tell parents, if you are coming with your child, have a certain place that they have to check
Meeting
in.
point.
Yes, a meeting point. And that's also a way for you to check that your child is sober.
Mm-hmm.
Because you might be in there thinking, well, my 14-year-old don't drink and they're already drunk.
Yeah.
So I could be messaging you, telling you, yeah, I good. Check. Actually do a physical check on these persons.
Yeah, that's a good point too. And I think the point about it is about monitoring, but I think it's less about monitoring and more about safety. Like the reason that we don't encourage 14-year-olds to drink is that children tend to make irresponsible decisions even when they are sober. So imagine when they're drunk. And also we talked about predators and the questions then that arise around safety.
And
so
even for adults, don't ever think that it cannot happen to you.
Yeah.
Be just like Troy said, be responsible with everything that you're doing. Don't do the excessive drinking. You will regret it later on. So just be smart. Make the best choices that you could possibly make.
Let's try one other little thing here.
Sure.
The responsible thing is to be able and to be sober enough to go to work the next morning.
Yes.
I mean, you would be surprised by what people can do, but yes.
So that's also about being responsible.
Yeah.
You have to go to work tomorrow. Limit the consumption of some things and the time spent.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So drink responsibly, act responsibly for your safety, for the safety of people around you. Don't take it for granted. Sometimes we underestimate how drunk we are too, and we feel like, okay, no, everything is good. Pay attention to well, first of all, know your limits, but pay attention to the ways that you might get confused about what your limits are. Pay attention to your surroundings. Encourage the people around you to also pay attention to their surroundings, for y'all to stick with each other as children, but also as adults, adult men, adult women, young people, everybody. Really pay attention to what's happening around you. Ensure that you are as safe as possible at all times. And if you're starting to feel unsafe or uncomfortable, find someone who can help. There will be police around. I'm sure there will be soldiers around. There's even Red Cross, I think, if you want to go take a break. Yeah, if you want to go take a break and get sobered up, I think Red Cross can help you with things like that. But we really want to ensure that the decisions that you make are decisions that you are actively, consciously, consensually making, because it's about pleasure, and pleasure can only be had when you are aware of and in control of the whatever situation you are choosing to be in. So thank you all for joining us tonight. I promise next time you come we will take a break.
Don't make promises you can't keep.
And I really encourage all of you, if you're going to Music Fest, to be safe. You can bring or not bring your children, stay home with your children, use it as a bonding moment, talk about how you can get ready to be in a place of trust and comfort and stuff for both of you to go out and hang together or not. But I just encourage all of you to be safe. Remember, pleasure and safety go together. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Pleasure Pulse, and I'll see you all next week. Have a good weekend and stay pleasured.